This was something else entirely. Lieu didn't ease into it, didn't soften his tone, and didn't try to play it safe. He went straight at Pam Bondi with a level of intensity that immediately changed everything. The energy shifted from routine questioning to full confrontation in seconds. Cameras were rolling, voices were rising, and everyone watching knew they were witnessing a moment that would spread far beyond that room. But what made it even more explosive was that Lieu wasn't just speaking emotionally.
I have a UC.
Ms. Crockett from Texas is recognized for UC.
Thank you so much. Donald Trump's approval rating implodes on his strongest issue. This is from Newsweek today. It says 40% of people approve of Trump's handling of immigration and border security, while 60% disapprove.
Without objection,
that is a
admitted.
net drop
Now I recognize the gentleman
20.
from California, Mr. Lieu.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. I'm going to show you two photos.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. Under the law Congress passed, you were allowed to redact photos to protect the victims of Epstein's sex trafficking operation. You redacted the photos of this victim's face because you were following the congressional law. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, that we redacted the victim's
Because you were
face?
following the congressional law, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have now established that please put the photos back up, that we are looking at a sex trafficking victim. Under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act, not only is Jeffrey Epstein guilty, but anyone who patronizes Epstein's sex operation is also guilty of a crime. That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients, like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers. The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Never
I agree with
mentioned
you. I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures, but you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. So I want to move on to another man.
Can I answer
Donald
that,
Trump.
though?
I want to move on to another
Can I
question.
answer your question about protecting
You
Prince
answered the
Andrew?
question.
You're saying no. I love this.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's a video. Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got your
released.
answer. You said there's no evidence.
President Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please
that
stop the
he
clock.
sign
Stop the clock.
the legislation. This is
Time
ridiculous.
belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. there is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was gonna stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
May I respond?
Yeah, I don't know how you respond. No one can.
I did not ask a
respond.
question, Ms.
He
Head.
doesn't
You're
want
allowed
to talk
to.
about
I did
the
not ask a
horrific
question.
crime in California. He does not want to talk about
I did not ask a
crime
question.
in his state.
You can't
Madam
just
Attorney
ad-lib
General.
stuff. I did not ask a
Trump.
question.
Meeting will be in order. The gentleman has yielded back his time. I think our next witness will be.
He came prepared, and he made it clear from the start that he wasn't there to play along with the usual back and forth. He was there to force answers. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more intense, he reached for something that took the entire exchange to another level. Because this wasn't just about words anymore. This was about evidence. And once he brought that into the conversation, there was no going back. He didn't waste time explaining what he was about to do. Instead, he held up photos that immediately grabbed everyone's attention. These weren't random images. They were tied to Prince Andrew and the broader network surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. And instead of making a long speech, Lieu asked something simple, something procedural, something that seemed almost harmless at first. He asked Bondi to confirm that the victim's identity had been redacted because the law required it. She said yes. Just one word. But that one word changed everything. Because the moment she confirmed that those images involved a protected victim, Lieu used her own answer to flip the narrative. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about speculation. It was about what that confirmation implied. If the images involved a victim under federal protection laws, then anyone connected to that situation wasn't just part of a story. They were potentially tied to something far more serious. And Lieu made sure that point landed. You could see the shift in the room. People weren't just listening anymore. They were processing what that meant. And Lieu wasn't done. Because right after locking in that confirmation, he pushed forward with a question that made everything even more uncomfortable. He brought up the Department of Justice memo from July 2025, the one that claimed there wasn't enough evidence to pursue investigations against other individuals connected to Epstein. He didn't rush through it. He slowed down, repeated the key part, and made sure everyone understood exactly what that memo said. Then he held the photos up again. The contrast between the two was impossible to ignore. On one side, a statement saying there was no evidence. On the other, images that he argued should at least trigger further investigation. And then he asked the question that hit the hardest. If this isn't enough, then what is? It wasn't just a challenge. It was a direct attack on the credibility of that decision. Bondi tried to respond, but instead of addressing the question directly, she shifted the focus to previous administrations. She mentioned past leadership, suggesting that failures had happened before her time. But Lieu didn't let that argument stand. He immediately cut in, reclaiming his time and bringing the focus right back to the present. He made it clear this wasn't about what others had done. It was about what was happening now, under her leadership. And with that, the pressure in the room started building even faster, because he was no longer just questioning decisions. He was questioning responsibility. Then he expanded the scope in a way that made the entire room even more tense. He started bringing up bigger names, shifting the focus from one individual to a broader network of associations. And that's when he mentioned Donald Trump. But the way he did it was calculated. He didn't present anything as proven fact. Instead, he referenced associations, appearances at events, and ongoing questions that had been circulating. He framed it carefully, making it clear he was asking about what was known and what still needed to be examined. He asked whether there had ever been underage individuals present at events involving Epstein and those connected to him. The question alone was enough to raise the temperature in the room. Bondi immediately pushed back, calling the line of questioning ridiculous and insisting there was no evidence of wrongdoing. But Lieu didn't back off. Instead, he introduced what he described as a witness account, someone who allegedly overheard conversations and made serious claims. He didn't present it as confirmed truth, but as something that warranted investigation. And that distinction mattered, because his argument wasn't that everything was proven. It was that it hadn't even been properly looked into. And with that, the confrontation reached a point where neither side was willing to step back. That's when everything completely boiled over. Lieu said it again, louder and more direct than before, that Bondi had lied under oath. The words hit harder this time because the entire exchange had been building to that moment. Bondi immediately fired back, telling him not to accuse her of a crime. Her tone shifted from controlled to defensive, and for a moment, both of them were speaking over each other. The chair tried to regain control, but the intensity of the exchange made it almost impossible to slow things down. Lieu doubled down, pointing out that everything was being recorded, that people watching would judge for themselves. Because at the same time, a massive release of Epstein-related documents was making headlines. Millions of files, images, and records were suddenly available, and people were digging through them looking for answers. Names started appearing again, including Prince Andrew, whose past connections had already been widely discussed. The newly released images raised more questions, even though they didn't come with full context. And as before, he denied any wrongdoing. Then there were mentions of high-profile figures like Elon Musk, who stated that while he had limited contact, he declined invitations and was aware of how communications could be misinterpreted. Similar claims surfaced involving Bill Gates, which he also denied. The pattern repeated itself. Names connected, questions raised, denials issued. But for many people watching, the issue wasn't just who was mentioned. It was the sense that something was still missing. That despite the volume of information, the full picture still wasn't clear. And that uncertainty kept the story alive, pushing it further into public attention. And through all of it, one thing remained at the center of the conversation: the victims. While officials debated documents and defended positions, there were still people waiting for answers. Many of them had spent years hoping for accountability, hoping that something would finally bring closure. Instead, what they saw felt incomplete. Some even spoke out, saying the release of documents had exposed identities that were supposed to remain protected, causing further harm. Trust, which had already been fragile, took another hit. And that's what made Liu's confrontation resonate beyond politics. Because whether people agreed with his approach or not, he forced attention back onto the core issue: accountability. The question of whether justice had truly been pursued or whether key pieces had been left untouched. And as the hearing ended and the clips began spreading online, one thing became clear. This wasn't just another moment that would fade away. It had sparked a conversation that people weren't ready to let go of. So now the real question isn't what happened in that room. It's what happens next. Will there be further investigations? Will more information come out? Or will this become another moment that generates headlines but leads to no real change? That uncertainty is what keeps people watching, keeps them questioning, and keeps stories like this from fading. Because every time something new surfaces, it raises the same question all over again. Are we seeing the full story or just part of it? And until that question is answered, the interest, the speculation, and the demand for clarity aren't going anywhere. If you want more breakdowns like this, where we cut through the noise and focus on what really matters, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and stay tuned for the next video.